You're live. Why am I not? You don't think. I have no audio. There's audio. Here, man. Back end here, but I think we're up and running, and it appears that we're good now. I'm checking the guys out and trying to look at the facial expressions on their face right now. Okay, good.
Thumbs up, smiles.
So we're good. We're good. So which one you guys want to get started here?
Well, I feel like I already started hearing Nick's story while you guys were figuring it out.
I know everything about Nick. So Nick, whatever we talked about, start over.
Awesome. Yeah, we were chatting about it a little bit. Just talking about Chris and I were just trading stories how we got into the industry and got into tech and stuff like that. So,
just need a clip, Nick?
No clip, but I'm very versatile with our movements. The only issue we might have, I'm very verbose when I speak and Italian, so I'll try to keep that close. But yeah, I've been roofing since I was 12 years old. I've been in the roofing industry my entire life. My dad's a roofer. So it's his 29th year in business this year. And I was telling Chris, the CEO of Roofr, and myself, our cousins, and we started when we were 12 years old together, summer of grade seven. And my dad woke us up and was like, hey, you're not sleeping in. Let's get on the roof. Our first roof was a mansard. He did not ease us into it. He just got us right up there. Started working. So I started as a laborer. Then I went into installing, running the crew, doing sales, everything. And then Richard came to me one day and he's like, I got this idea, and came to me with the original version of Roofr. And it was about 6 years ago. So
so let's stop right there for a second. So Richard, how did you know Richard? Was he your cousin?
Yep.
Oh, so Richard's your cousin.
Yeah, we're three weeks apart.
Okay, and he's like the founder of Roofr.
The founder of Roofr. So we were on like a Canadian version of Shark Tank. Back in the day too, when we were in early 20s, for a product that our grandpa invented, and so we did that. So we're always like together. He's like my brother, and he's always the like if you're thinking about like the really driven one, the brainiac one, and that's him, right? I'm the guy who knows how to talk well and I can sell things, so that's it. Okay. So
that helps. Well, you need both.
Yeah, exactly.
You need both to be a good team.
And it was great. So he came to me with Roofr, and he's like, here's the idea. So he was working, he left my dad's company, started working for the largest company in Ontario. It was a retail re-roofing company. And he's just like, this system's broken. Like, it's just not clean. And just getting quotes to homeowners for them to get like 3 quotes and everything. So he invented our instant estimator 6 years ago.
Okay.
Instant Estimator 2.0 is out right now, so we'll talk about that later. But he invented our Instant Estimator. So the original version came out in 2016, and we were a marketplace for roofing. So it was actually really cool that we would drive traffic to the site and say, get a roof quote in 30 seconds or less. Homeowners would put their information in, and then I would call every one of them. You get anywhere from, I was telling Chris, like some days 60 to 100 leads.
Wow.
Some days 20, but like you get a lot of leads a day. And I would call and I would qualify them. And I would go, hey, Mr. Jones, see that you're having some issue with your roofs. This is a ballpark quote that we gave you. What are you looking for?
Yeah.
And what we would do is on the back end, we would vet local roofers, not the big guys, not the small guys. Guys have been around for 10 plus years, fully insured, licensed and everything. And we would give out those leads to them. So we would give 3 quotes, and those contractors would upload those quotes, and I would call them back and sell the roofs.
Okay.
So I was selling, and this is how good the instant estimator tools are today. There's 2 main ones out in the thing, so both of them, definitely go take a look at both and see which ones you want to go with. But this is how good it is, because I was going through qualification, getting the quotes, and reviewing them with the customers, comparing and contrasting. I was selling, and I have spreadsheets to prove it, 60 to 80 roofs a month. It was closing, virtually never going to the job. And from there, yeah, it's nuts. And we did that for about 5 years, about 4 years. And then we did that for about 4 years. And then the issue was it was taking too long to get quotes up. So we invented our measurement tool. So that would sped it up. And then the roofers' quotes looked like shit. So we invented our proposals tool. So then we took away the marketplace and put the instant estimator in the roofer's hands, and here we are.
Wow.
How are you driving traffic, that kind of traffic at the beginning?
Yeah, so it was a lot of like guerrilla marketing on social, on Facebook, on SEO, SMO. When we're getting it out there and just using different taglines and different opportunities. We're going into like markets, door hangers and stuff like that, like door knocking. I was canvassing and scouting.
So you were actually promoting that marketplace tool like in the market, not just in digital online world.
When we started, it was Richard and I knocking doors.
And it was under the name Roofr.
Roofr. Yep. We had an iPad in our hand. We would show them what was going on. We would show their roof and say, hey, here's what we got going on. Are you interested? Do you need a quote for the roof? And some people will tell us to get lost. And some people were like, yeah, let's go for it. So we ended up getting that stuff.
But what's interesting is some of those people would tell you get lost, not interested, or not home. They'd actually could potentially come to that site later and fill out the instant estimate, right? Because you always all your collateral about get a quote, instant quote, that kind of, I mean, what was the call to action? I mean, what were you?
And that's something that we've learned recently. So back then in 2016, when we're door knocking, we're just leaving our business cards in the door. No call to action. It was just roofer.com. Our tagline was roofing simplified. So I still have all my business cards that just say roofing simplified on there, roofer.com, and I would just drop it in the door. But it wasn't until recently, and especially talking with you and looking at like how to properly scout and how to properly give call to actions and leave something behind, that I realized, like, man, I could have been, if I was doing 60 to 80 roofs a month then, I could be doing way more if I had the knowledge that I have now.
Exactly. And that's how the technology has evolved too. Yeah. So when you were calling up these contractors, so were you selling them the leads? How was that working?
Yeah, so it was actually, at first, it was like, but first roofer on the site was my dad.
Okay.
It was easy. My cousin and I had to sell it to my dad, and we're like, yeah. And we did the first roof of Roofr back then. Then it was just locally, we would go around and stuff like that. Then we started seeing roofers that were beating us in pricing. So we researched their companies, make sure they're legit. And then we just approached them. Very cold call, just like, hey, my name is Nick. I'm from a company called Roofr.com. This is what we offer. We can get you more leads. There's no cost for those leads for you. You quote it, we sell it for you. We're an unpaid salesperson. If we close it, we get a percentage. Are you in or are you out? And it started growing there. So it was a lot of cold calls. And then it got to the point where people would hear about us and start applying to be on our site.
Okay.
Nice.
And so we were in Ontario, Canada, Florida, and California doing this.
And this was 6 years ago.
6 years ago, all the way. Like we did it for about 4 straight years. We had a marketplace.
Wow. Okay. So, now I got an off-topic question for you. Where did Roofr come from? Like, why not just Roofr? ER.
I think that's a question for Richard. The real answer is he can't spell, and I'm better at sports than him. Wow. No, I'm kidding. Richard, I apologize. He wanted to kind of create something different. Roofr out there, it was too on the nose. We wanted to kind of have something stand out.
Sure.
And if it's just a roofer, you don't know if it's like a roofing contract or anything. And and a lot of the tech companies out there have like, I think it's Tumblr is just an R.
Yeah.
And so I think he kind of took some inspiration from there and created like a roofer.
Yeah.
Or Roofr, depending on where you are in the United States.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
I always thought it was Roofr.
Yeah,
I swear, for the longest time.
It depends. Like there's a little cross in the middle of the United States. If you're west of one side, it's Roofr. If you're east, it's Roofr.
Really?
And if you're south of one line, it's Roofr. And if you're north of it, it's Roofr. It's hilarious.
So I'm in Michigan. So is that a Roofr?
You're on the verge. You guys are in a very interesting area.
Okay. We're very unique people.
Yeah, in like the Detroit area, we'll get Roofr. But anywhere up north or a little bit outside there, it's Roofr for sure.
Yeah. No, it's unique and it's kind of cool because that it's just Roofr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And And I kind of get that because it's a tech company and it's unique and it sticks out for sure. And it's got like that mystery behind it. Like, why do they just use an R?
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people are thinking that, but don't ask that question, do they much?
No, not a lot. Sometimes people, I'm really bad with spelling, and my friends all know that. So in a group chat, they're making fun of me. And I did something really poor, like a horrible spelling to my friends the other day. And my friend just wrote back. He goes, "No wonder you spell your company's name wrong." So I was like, there we go.
That's great. That's great. So, okay. So, with the way everything's moving right now, you guys come out with the instant estimator quote now with the roofing aerial measurements. What do you see happening coming in the future? Anything else, or are you just going to focus on this for a while?
Yeah. With Roofr, we're growing, and the sky's the limit. And we don't want to just kind of park the bus. We're always looking. I say cheesy lines. If you've ever been on a demo with me or in a phone call, you probably heard this, but the Roofr you see today is not the Roofr you're going to see even a month from now, a week from now. And so we've really invested a lot into our engineering and our product team, along with some of our other spots. We really want to give something to the roofers that they're going to always be using. As roofers ourselves, we want to make sure that we can drive down the cost for you to not only run your business, but to get more business as well, and then allow you to grow out there. One of the big things that is a big thing in our heart that we want to always fix is 85% of this industry is small to medium-sized businesses. That's a large amount. That's larger than most other industries. And the stats are that you're around 80%. You have an 80% chance of not making it past the 2-year mark. You have a 90% chance of not making it past the 5-year mark. And we want to figure out how to fix that. And truly, we think that by driving down your cost for acquisition, driving down your cost of using these tools to grow your company, there shouldn't be a barrier to entry to grow your company, to put food on the table. And that's what we're really focusing on with our tools, instant estimator measurements and proposals. And soon you'll be seeing some more stuff with us. Right now we're the end-to-end sales system, from lead acquisition to measurement to proposal to close. And in the next little bit, you'll see payments and invoicing coming through there as well. So you could have a true sales system that's end-to-end that you could run your company on.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
What are you hearing the most from contractors in terms of why it's 80% in 2 years and 90% gone in 5 years? What are those issues that they're facing?
A lot of them are coming down to just running a business. It's to be a roofer, you got to be a hard worker and you got to be determined and stuff. But there's other things in there that you just don't have. And that's what I love seeing coming out to these things, these conferences, seeing the business coaching and stuff that's in there. Because knowing your books is really important. And that's where a lot of people go wrong. They don't realize how much it is it's not a lot to start a company, but it's a lot to maintain a company. So running the books is difficult, gathering leads and keeping those acquisition costs down. And then at the end of the day, it's labor. It's a big thing right now. I know it's a lot of companies in Canada and down here just looking for labor. It's hard to find, and hard to find good help to stay there.
Especially a couple of years ago, it was definitely getting harder and harder. We see things opening up a little bit, and this is a great topic because a couple of us have actually been talking about, what can we do about making a change in our industry, because of that percentage of roofing contractors that don't make it early on. What kind of impact can we have, and what can we give back, and what can we be teaching, from those guys? Basically, what did we do in the beginning, right? That made us relevant 36 months later. Right. What made us relevant 72 months later, and the basics. And that's basically where we're at in our company right now. We're circling back to the basics. And this is what's crazy. It's I think we get, after being in business for a while, you kind of get away from the basics. Right. And it's kind of if you don't ever leave the basics, you don't ever have to go back to them. Now, of course, I'm not saying, don't implement new technology. I mean, because definitely you won't be relevant in the next 12 or 36 months if you don't implement some sort of new technology, right? But what could we do as what I feel like we're some of the and a lot of the people that come on the show are industry leaders, right? Like there was a group of us in here last night, and it's like we're all making an impact on the industry. Like we're all going to leave this place better than where we found it.
It's quite the opportunity we have. And
yes, it's like great. Roofing is in such a cool spot right now, and I think if a group of us really stuck our heads together, we could shake things up and lose that stigma. Whether it's not a vetting system of like, okay, who can be a roofing business owner or not, but just putting that education out there, especially with social media, right? To be able to get that message out, whether it's a conference where we really get down to grassroots basics, the basic fundamentals of business, business 101, because I've gone to a couple conferences already and they're all great. And believe me, I take what I need and I leave the rest, right? But when I'm listening to people talk, it's like they're speaking to people who have been in business for a while. Like they're talking about technology and stuff like that, and things that not necessarily I don't even understand, but like if I'm not catching it right away, I can't even imagine a guy that's just started out in business for the past 12 months knows what the hell anyone's talking about, right? And maybe it's just me, but
I fully agree with that. And Chris was I had a breakout session today that I was very thankful. This is my first one. And I think like Pete McKendrick, who is our partnerships manager, and he's on a product team and stuff, and he does these speeches often at the shows. He's got 7 kids, so he couldn't be here today. What's up, Pete?
Yeah, what's up, Pete? Love you.
He can't be at every event.
The man.
Like, I know we want him to be, but he can't. But so I was able to do one today, and I think that's why on these breakout sessions we really focus on creating a system and process, and really talking about that aspect of it, and because we don't need to talk about the tech. The tech is there. You could find the tech, and we would touch on it a little bit. But one of the things I brought up today is to start off in every business. I don't care if you're 10 years in business or you're just starting, but let's take a look at what your sales process is. Can you write it out on paper? And how granular is it, or how basic is it? There should be around 5 to 6 steps that you can go through. And once you get those lined in, you could have checklists and like subcategories and stuff. But once you get those 5 to 6 processes in, you're able to set up a system where you can actually start to grow. But until you have that in there, maybe you're really good at sales, but then your production fails. Maybe you're good at production, but your sales fails. And maybe you're not looking for the referral at the end either, making those customers there. And I think we got to look into it from that aspect. And I talk to hundreds of roofers a week, and so does my team. And one thing that we see that is very, very common, and especially in the area that we're in as well right now in Texas, so a lot of people are results-based businesses, not a process-based business. And you can get by on being a results-based business for a very long time. But if that result stops, if there's no storm, if there is a recession,
you lose your top salesperson.
You're in trouble, and you're in trouble quick, and you don't have a process to lean on. So it's about creating that narrative and that education, like you said. And I think that's what, like, again, I love this conference. I love going to these conferences. But I think that's something to be said, what you said, that it's great having the tech guys up there. It's great having the top sales guys up there. But I think we need to start getting down to grassroots and start helping out the little guy a little bit more to continue what you're saying, to get us to that next level and leave it in better hands than what we found.
Like help people come up with a process, but not just a process, but to duplicate it.
Exactly.
Like document it.
Make it scalable.
So then it's, easily duplicated and trained to the next salesperson, to the next admin, to the next AP, AR that comes into your team. Because let's face it, most business owners have everything up here. Right? And for me, I was the same way early on and still am sometimes, right? But I think if you can sit down and, like you said, write it out, put it on a PowerPoint presentation, do it on a Loom, put it in a Teachable.
Put it in your CRM.
Yeah, put it in your CRM, right? So what we started to do was document everything. Document, because you can always go back in and tweak it. Because what worked 3 months ago might not work today.
And that's the beauty too, is finding out if you have that documented, you can see where the pain points are, where the leaking parts of your pipipeline is, and you could start to fix it quick. If it's all up here, you don't know where that broken spot is. And then going back to scalability and being replicable, talking about retaining talent, and that's something I've always really admired you for, is the fact that how well you retain your talent and how happy your team is with you. You talk about leadership and everything, and that's huge. So if you have a process that you're writing down, there's too many steps, how are you expecting your sales team to follow it?
Yeah.
There's so many times I hear on the phone, like, my sales guy's not going to do that. It's like, well, why? Is he not doing it because he hates you? Because that guy's crazy, then get rid of him. But or is he doing it because there's too many damn things to put in that I can't follow it?
Yeah, I don't understand it.
So if you have a simple process that is making money, you can plug your new sales rep in there. They could make money. They're happy. They stay, and then you make money, and you can scale it and grow it.
Of course,
yeah,
of course. And everybody at the end of the day makes more money because it's seamless, right?
Exactly.
So without a process and having it documented, right? And I've ran a business for many years without a process. The process changed every day. It was whatever I felt.
Yeah.
Basically, right? And which sounds arrogant or egotistical. I just didn't know any better, right? So without a process, okay, with the process, what it has helped us identify is two things, right? And it's only two things, right? Because of the process, either there's an issue with the process or it's a personnel issue.
Correct.
There's nothing else outside of that. Does the process need tweaked? And what I mean by a personnel issue is not that they're disgruntled or whatever. It's more so a training, right? It'll help you identify, like, if somebody's not doing very well, like sales are down or whatever the case might be. It's like, okay, sit back down with them. Like, are you following, like, what part of the process are you missing here? Or maybe the process needs tweaked, or maybe they don't fit the culture. But without the process, you'll never be able to identify which it is.
It's the same in roofing. It's the same in tech. And Chris, you could probably shed some light to this too. With your sales team and your success team and stuff, you want to make sure that they have very similar kind of things that they need to follow step by step by step. Because then you can see if Bob and Jane are doing really good, but Tim is not. Is it because Tim needs more training, or is Tim not following the process? You can start to identify things quickly and react quickly. Because at the end of the day, if you don't react quickly as a business owner, you're going to be left behind. And that's why a lot of companies end up failing.
Loss of revenue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nick, I loved your, I just pulled it on my phone because I took a picture of one of your slides from the breakout. You said, no tool can force process on your team. And I think that was like really earth shattering to me, because as a tool in the marketplace, it's our obligation to make sure that those signing up for our tool and adopting our tools have the process in place, because that's how they're going to be successful. And I really admired, like, you taking, I mean, your entire breakout session was on the word process.
Yeah, process as a Canadian.
Process. But because the reality is, if you have not implemented that, then the tool's not going to fix that. So if it's, we're not organized on the production side, simply signing up for a CRM does not fix your problem.
No, and you're going to hate that CRM now.
So, for all of these tools here, and there was so many great vendors, like it is our obligation to make sure that whether it's, a guy just getting started or a company that's looking to go from 30 to 50 million, that they have the processes in place to maximize that tool. And I think there's a responsibility on our part
100%.
As software to make sure that the contractor's ready to do that.
Yeah.
And it's for our benefit.
It really is. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to plug a hole with a tool, and that tool's it's still going to leak. It's still going to happen, and then they're going to start resenting you and giving bad names, and now you've ruined two things. And we're really fortunate at Roofr because we do have a freemium option, so we do have a free plan where you can be on for eternity, and there is benefits to go on the plan. But we talk to people every day, and we say, well, like, how many reports are you ordering? What are you building out? And if they're just like working and they don't fit our criteria to be on a plan, there is not one person on our team will be like, well, you should get on a plan, because they're going to churn. They're going to have a negative experience. It's going to cost them money. And at the end of the day, we're not helping them solve anything. So if we could kind of nurture them on one of those free plans and just touch base with them, be like, hey, do you need any tips or tricks with the tools? Is like, have you seen this content? And that's why Pete and I love doing those master classes and our podcast, is just educate them and maybe they'll come to us. Let them do it on their own time, but put that information out there. And that's why I love this podcast too. Educate the people on the other end, whether they're homeowners or they're our roofing contractors looking to start a business. It's on us to really make sure that again we leave it in the better hands than what we found.
It is our responsibility. My only regret is not getting a CRM sooner. And what I mean by that is we waited. I don't want to say we waited. I just don't think like there wasn't anything that could fit us, right? 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then we waited, right? And then we decided, okay, let's get a CRM. There was so much information that we needed to upload into this thing. Like it took forever.
Oh yeah.
For us because we waited so long, and we kind of created our own CRM, but we were still duplicating the same information in 3 areas that didn't communicate. So I needed 3 people putting the same information in 3 different places. It wasn't very efficient. But then when we came across our CRM and our support and our help from that staff, from the CRM company that we use was phenomenal, right? So they helped us manipulate the system to fit and mold our company, and we've manipulated our process as well to fit their process. So, but it was so time consuming. By the time we put the labor prices in there, the material costs in there, entered all the admins, the basic users, and all of the moving parts, the clock in, clock out. I mean, there was so much stuff that we had to do. So I guess my recommendation is don't wait too long.
Don't wait.
No, but also I would say don't wait too long, but also don't jump the gun.
Yeah.
Because like right before we came down here, I was on Facebook in one of the Facebook groups there for roofing, and someone's like, "What's the best CRM out there?" And the answer is, "What is your needs?" Like there's a secondary question there, and I have the luxury of talking to people who just started, because we have a very low cost to entry. We have a free plan, and then our reports and everything are cheap. We do get a lot of people that just started their business, and a lot of times we get like, "What CRM should I go with?" I said, "None." Do you need one right now? How many customers do you have?
Yeah.
Cool. You could use our system on the free version just to track customers and job. And here are 4 podcasts from 4 different people. We got Michael Stern's podcast, your podcast, my podcast, Hook Better Leads podcast, and all about CRMs. And I just send them an email with all those. I go, listen to this and then decide when you're ready.
Yeah.
Because if you go too early, you're plugging an issue. You're trying to fix a process with a tool, with a tech tool that's not going to help.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You're trying to fix a process when you don't even have a process yet because it's too early in business.
Exactly. You got to see how everything moves across. So
yeah, that sounds like me, always putting the cart before the horse. But that's what's cool about social media today. Like people don't have to go through what we went through 15 years ago, right? Like it was just figured out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We couldn't go to a roofing conference and ask other roofing contractors, like, how did you do it? Plus, people weren't as open back then either. I feel like they weren't. Today, I feel like a lot of us are like an open book.
Yeah.
I enjoy sharing my experience, strength, and hope with someone that's been in business as long as I have, or a fraction of the time that we've been in business. And by no means are we perfect. We still struggle. We still make mistakes. We continuously suffer or experience growing pains. And with any business, if you're scaling and trying to grow, there's always new obstacles in the way. You find out that the process that you had doesn't work. You find out the tools that you're using doesn't fit where you're at today in business. So it's being and remaining cognitive of like what's going on within your business, right? Because I think a lot of people think the roofing business, it is very lucrative, but I think they're gonna make $1 million overnight. And unfortunately, it's a very hard business. And I feel like that's why that statistic is what it is, because everybody sees like the glitz and the glam, and there is no glitz and glam. I mean, yes, there is.
Yeah.
There is, but you got to work through all of these processes. You got to fail forward many times, be able to get up, dust yourself off, surround yourself around good people, because you can't do this by yourself. And just be honest, right? Like if you're going to be in this for the long haul, surround yourself around good, honest people, because I've been saying this a lot this weekend. It's like I'm only as good as those that I surround myself with,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether it be cognitively or verbally, like the words that you guys use, or whatever. I mean, all together in general, like, you know, I pick up Chris's habits and I pick up your habits by watching you, and it just, for the most part, it's improving me just because I'm surrounding myself around good, genuine people that speak intelligently and they're smarter than me. And it's like when I was a kid shooting pool, right? I shot a lot of pool, but I was only as good as those I shot pool with. And how I realized that is we started to travel outside of our area and entering pool tournaments. And I thought I was a really good pool player. And I was. But when I went into other areas to start shooting pool, like, these people were super good. And what I come to find out is I was only as good as those people I was playing pool with, right? Until I started to step outside of our area and start playing pool with people that were better than me, I couldn't go to the next level. You know what I mean? It's almost like water seeks its own level. And it's like, I couldn't get above that barrier until I started to play people that were better than me.
Well, I think it's a really interesting topic that we're kind of starting to touch on, and this idea of like embracing this community that we have and knowing, even though there's competition, but truly seeking how did you say, the ships all rise, or what was that saying that you had?
All ships rise.
All ships rise. And I think, from Elite Scout's perspective, there's other tools out there that are very similar, right? Do a lot of the same things that we do. And we have a choice. We can say, choose to, put them down or leave them out of the conversation. And of course, if we're with a customer, we're going to build up what it is that we do. But in many ways, like at the end of the day, we're all here to help the contractor, right? And the contractor, even in I think about when we were at Jen Silver's event in Utah a couple weeks ago, and randomly that one contractor from your hometown or near there is there, and to seeing you guys connect and just share insights. I mean, you could choose to be like, well, you're my competition, and it's like, listen, if from the contractor's perspective, if we look at this, like, this is the beauty of roofing. Everybody needs a roof, right? And they're going to need another roof. And if a storm comes, they're going to need another roof. And so if we do the next right thing and support one another, like, we're going to get our share. And ultimately, it's about helping our customers. And so from a tech perspective, if we look at our contractors like that, we're all going to win.
Exactly. I was having a great conversation with you, Josh from iRoofing. Again, like, we have a measurement tool. He's got a measurement tool, and I love that guy. I talk to him all the time. I don't know if you got a chance to really chat with him.
He's such a great dude.
He's a wealth of knowledge, just a great guy to chat to. But we were talking about the same thing. Is there's a lot of tools out there, but there's a lot of roofers out there. So there's enough to sell for each other and get into it. And each one of our tools is a little bit different than each other. There are some things that, like us and Roofl. We both have an instant estimator tool. They got an amazing tool. We have an amazing tool. We do similar things, but they're different at the same time. And that's why I say, like, if you ever see me online, it's someone asks me what's the difference. I go, get a demo with both, because there is differences. It's up to you to see. And what is right for you, because my tool might not be right for you at the same time. During the show, you and I had the conversation with one of the gentlemen that came to both of our booths, said that he's just not ready yet. And about 4 times in this show, I had someone super interested in the instant estimator, and I told them, it's not ready for you yet. You can get on the plan below, and it's only $149 a month, and you'll get all the guts of the tool. And when you're ready, when that process is filled out and you have that salad, introduce that in, because otherwise you're going to drown. It's too much. And that's what we should be doing this all around. And that's why I love making friends with, like, you. I love making friends with, like, Josh from iRoofing and stuff. And
these really conferences, I mean, April Hall, thank you for putting on this conference. And Hunter with RoofCon and Sam Taggart with D2D. I'm kind of naming some of the ones we've most recently been to. We've got Dimitri's coming up. It allows us, if we choose to say, hey, we're all in this together. And if we can look at it that way, the contractors are going to benefit, and all ships rise.
And then the homeowners benefit too.
And the homeowner benefit.
You got to look at it from that perspective. And, like, it's when we talked to partnerships, and we'll get to our partnership later on.
Yeah.
But when we talk about partnerships, usually it's supposed to be that it's a win-win for them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at a situation where I win and you win, we share each other's successes and we grow together. And it's something that is mutually beneficial. If you're talking to a roofing company, the way I always like to break it down is just like, no, what's going to happen here is if you get on this and you follow our instructions and everything, you're going to be successful. You're going to be able to help out more homeowners and they're going to be happier with you. They're going to give you referrals and you're going to get more business and everything going. So win-win-win down the line, and it can go on in perpetuity, but it just comes down to just like that sharing of ideas. My dad talks about it. This wasn't here 10 years ago.
Right.
No.
I did a event. So Ontario, Canada, we're a little bit more conservative than America when it comes to like sharing ideas. And so I got with Roofr, we did a golf tournament for about 20 different roofing companies locally.
Mm-hmm.
And these are direct competitors, and it's a cutthroat industry. It's very similar down here. We don't have licensing up there.
Okay.
So it's like very cutthroat. And we went there, and it was only business owners were allowed. I paid for a round of golf. We all hung out, went for drinks after, and they all left, and they were like, we've never done this.
Mm-hmm.
I've known that guy for 20 years, and I've never talked to him like this.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's like, it's cool. Like they were sharing ideas, sharing failures, and it's important. And I learned that from you guys here. I learned it from like American contractors in these shows. There's like, why are we being so closed off up there?
Mm-hmm.
You can grow together.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all rising tide raise all ships.
Yeah.
Going back there.
Tide.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No, and I agree. This has been one of the topics for the weekend too. It's like we need competition, and I don't even look at it as competition.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to use that word. Worthy rivals, right? Like they make me better.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we make them better if they choose. It's your choice ultimately at the end of the day, you know, or you're just probably not going to be relevant in the next 12 months if your business really matters to you. But going back to the integrity of both of you and the comment that you made, you know, not allowing that contractor to go all in and give him a better fit for you. I watched Chris this week, you know, turn down a potential client because it wasn't a good fit. Now, he could have swiped this dude's credit card this week. And at first I was kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, dude. You know, like
get that money.
Explain the situation.
Are you in sales or not?
I'm like, what are you doing here then if you're not accepting people's money?
You're the worst business owner ever.
Yeah. But he explained the situation to me. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, and maybe I just want to help you. And it's like, I know you do.
Yeah.
You know, and going back to when we met that contractor that's in our local market, it's like, I looked at him and it's like, you know what went through my mind is I do not want that dude to go through what I had to go through.
Yeah.
Like I sympathized for him because he's still on the roof, I imagine, and going home at night, doing the paperwork, trying to pay the bills, pay his people, stay afloat. It's winter and all of those things, man. And I just wanted to dive in there and just tell him what I did to get through to, you know, through it, you know, whether it be organic lead generation type of stuff that doesn't cost any money through referrals and like I just wanted to really help him on like what I did because believe me, I had nothing when I started. I lived in my van, you know, like, and I that's what I mean, like, don't forget where you come from, bum, right? Don't get complacent, don't get too comfortable. And not to change the topic, but I just wanted to circle back because I've experienced and witnessed the integrity.
Well, that's what's driving your desire to
both of you
to help. That's what's driving your desire to help others.
Yes, you know, and I love.
Could you imagine if you had a TC backer come alongside you back then?
What
and actually care about?
No, I can't imagine that. You know, but it would have been great.
But now you have that opportunity.
Yeah, I do to help people from suffering. You know, and going through what I did because I just smashed my head against the wall. It's not easy what we do, and it's so cool the way everything is. But anyhow, partnerships and relationships is today's currency.
Yeah, it really is.
You know,
so let's talk about it. Let's talk about the partnership. Can we jump into it?
Stuff going on.
It's some exciting stuff.
Yeah,
it's February 1st. It's a new month. We're about to get into the new season. It's
some exciting news.
Yeah. So we've really enjoyed working with Chris over the past little bit, and I think it all started with me and you from that masterclass we did.
Yeah.
So guys, just to give you an idea of the power of Chris Hofstra. So we do master classes every other week, Pete and I. And our master classes are historically well attended, way more attended than makes sense, to be honest, because it's just me and Pete. We talk about processes, we talk about sales tools, we talk about our tools and all that stuff. So we normally get, I would say, anywhere 50 to 100 users or visitors, viewers. That's the word I was looking for. Everyone. Chris decides to come on one day, and we're excited to talk about Lead Scout. We had 180 consistently for the whole hour.
Really?
Just there.
I didn't know that.
That number sat there. It was the highest one we ever had.
Because you said I'm with Lead Scout.
They like the lead and the Lead Scout.
I want to hear about leads.
But they definitely came in, and that was one of my favorite ones we ever did. And I got to learn so much about Lead Scout and how important, like we started off this podcast about, like, if 6 years ago when I had this instant estimator and I knew about how to properly not canvas but scout, and if I had the tools to help out, what it could do. So Chris and Pete were worked out on a nice little partnership, and starting today until the 28th of February,
the whole month,
with a whole month, with every instant estimator that you get as a roofer from roofr.com. So it's the enterprise plan there. You get the instant estimator, $10 measurements, detailed proposals. You get 3 months of Lead Scout for free as well, which is totally unbelievable. It's an offer. And talk about how well that ties together.
Yeah. So, so for us, how it helps us is we are trying to build a tool that changes the mindset and the process of how both storm, but quite frankly, mainly retail contractors, roofers sell in a neighborhood. And, the last couple of years, it's been a gold rush, tons of leads. Guys are running lots of leads. You kind of tease your sales guys sometimes, calling them lead babies, but some of it is true. It's, they get their leads, and unfortunately what that has done is it's kind of created some bad habits and some bad processes. And we kind of want to go back to the basics, as you guys were talking about. And the basics is, when you run an appointment at 123 Main Street, what are you doing to maximize that opportunity? And what Lead Scout essentially does is creates a bite-sized prospect list of owner-occupied homes around that lead, so that the salesperson, instead of hopping back into their nicely wrapped truck and heading to grab a coffee or run an errand or go to the next lead, take 10, 15 minutes to make a touch point on, say, 6, 7, or 8 of the nearest homes that need a roof. Well, if you're going to make a touch point on the homes that need a roof, how cool would it be if you could deliver a call to action or an opportunity for that homeowner to get an instant estimate, right? So for us, we desire partnerships with tools that make what we're offering the roofer, the contractor, more attractive and more effective. And if you give me something on my door that says, what was the business card that it said that you had when you were
the Roofing Simplified.
Roofing Simplified. Not sure what that means, right? Yeah. But if it said scan this QR code to get a quote in 26 seconds.
And that's the thing that a lot of people are like, the most Googled thing by homeowners looking for a new roof in America is, how much does my roof cost? It's Googled 630,000 times a year here in America.
Wow.
So give them what they want. That's a call to action to put on that door hanger.
So it's really kind of it grew out of a self-interest to say, how can we continue to deliver better tools to our users that are creating these bite-sized lists, that are making that choice to implement a process, a very simple process, which is, I'm going to ask Kevin, I'm going to ask Jamie, I'm going to ask Sarah, that after you're done running that lead, take that 15 minutes. Because if we do those small little pushes each day, it's going to add up big time. And what better way than to deliver a tool like the instant estimator to that homeowner so they can engage? And then, I'd love to have you share, like, what are some of the benefits of that homeowner engaging that piece?
Yeah, it's great. And being able to, I actually do have a question before we get into that. Yeah. After they scan that QR code, how do you kind of keep top of mind so it doesn't forget, like the customer doesn't forget or not remember your branding?
You're just teeing me up.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean, once we deliver that piece on the door, that's going to say, scan to get an instant estimate. Or, I mean, I got to give some love to my boy Steven Spence over here at Project Map It, because he's hanging out with us. And actually, you got takeout just so you could sit here with us. Also see local projects in your area, right? Scan that QR code, go to a landing page. Chris Scoville's Blue Pages Pro, right? I mean, integrated with Roofr and Roofl. I mean, create an experience for that homeowner so they can see where you've done projects in the area. They can get an instant quote. But to your question, what we can do at Lead Scout is deliver automated drip campaigns of direct mail. So if they have that experience and maybe they don't do anything with it, they're going to get a postcard a week later with the same call to action and the same reminder that, hey, I'm the local roofer. And if they still don't do anything, they're just going to keep getting that, right?
So creating that branding, right?
That
brand awareness, you're just going to remember what's going on and who these people are. And so that if they finally decide they need something to do with the roof, they're like, Bob's Roofing just keeps on showing up here. I got to give them a call.
So if they scan it and they go to the instant estimator, what's that like? What are some of the key benefits of that?
Yeah, so it comes down to the acquisition side, right? So you're going to, number one, when they scan that, they're going to go to a branded, either your website or your page. And the beauty about Roofr's instant estimator is that you can create as many links as you want. So you can create a link for your website, for your door hangers, a QR code for the restaurant, a grocery store, different locations, and whatever the case may be, to really open that up. So then you, which is really important as a business owner, can track and see which ones are being the most successful, so you can make decisions there. You can see what cost per acquisition is. And that's something that we're going to allow you to do with the tool. But on that side, the customer is going to be able to get a quote within 30 seconds or less. They're going to be qualified with simple qualification questions that you would normally ask on the phone. So it's going to set you up for that next step. And you're going to have that lead and all that customer information go into a dashboard that's an aggregated lead dashboard in your Roofr platform, where you can mark things as new lead, working, disqualified, or qualified, assign it to your sales reps, and everything else. So you could have, if you have those 3 sales reps, Kevin, James, and Steve, then you can have a door hanger associated to each of them. So when a lead comes in, you can see which guy is really working it, and then you can check Lead Scout to see how far those leads have gone. And from there, it's called the speed to lead. We talk about it a lot, and I know I heard you talk about it on when you did the round about at SRC earlier. I was watching that recording earlier today, and speed to lead is really imperative nowadays. It's the Amazon world. People want things now. People are looking for things right away, and if you think about it, if you're going to look for a new truck, you're going to Ford's website, you click on it. I can find out what an F-150 costs. I can add my options like Bluetooth, I want chrome rims and everything, and I get a price up front. Still have to talk to a salesperson. I get a price up front. So roofing should be no different. Now you can collect that information. And do you guys know that you are times more likely to close that job if you get them within an hour of them filling out a form? That speed to lead keeps you in the back of their mind and separates you from the competition. Then with Roofr, you can qualify it, turn it into a customer and job, create a system and process, order a roof measurement, create it into a detailed proposal, and send it out. And you can be that first person in with a proposal that's beautiful, that's detailed, that's educational, that's transparent, so that customer can again see you are different than your competition. And you are 40% more likely to close a job if you're the first person in the door.
Wow. Okay. So does this integrate with CRMs?
It does. So any CRM that has a Zapier integration, we can push data over. Our measurements, our proposals, our status updates, like proposals been viewed. So you can create that follow-up channel. All that can be pushed over to CRMs that have a Zapier integration.
Okay. So I think I like what I'm hearing here, because as a business owner, I'm hearing how much easier this would make a contractor's life, right? And or their salespeople. But not just that, the homeowner. You nailed it on the head, right? Like they go online, they can build a car, and me, I'm guilty of it. I built a boat back in 2018, and their website was phenomenal. I picked what color, what radio, what size speakers, and I mean everything. It was fantastic. It saved me from running the whole way to Millsboro, Delaware, 3.5 hours away, talking to a salesperson, all this, the rigmarole. I was able to know my price up front to see if it would match my budget.
Exactly.
And if it didn't, I was pulling things out of it. And then when I went to go to Delaware the weekend that I had time, I was prepared at that point in time. I wasn't going to be sticker shocked. I knew what color I wanted. The choices were picked, and I didn't feel like I had to be sold on it. You know, because some people, let's face it, some people, especially with e-commerce, think about how many people go to a car dealership on Sundays. And why do they go there on Sundays?
There's got nothing else to do.
No, because they don't want to be harassed by a salesperson.
Oh,
either.
yes, that's right. Yeah, because it's going to be busy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because some people, and especially today in this day and age, the generation that we're experiencing right now, the millennial generation, is like the largest generation that we've ever experienced in anyone's lifetime right now, right? And let's face it, they're on their phones, they're on their laptops, their MacBooks, all of these things. They purchase and communicate and watch. It's their TV, it's their computer, it's their shopping. Christ, the kids at our office, Grubhub, they do everything. Order Starbucks, shows up at the office. I mean, it's crazy on the direction, and I feel like between the integration, because I'm thinking to myself, like, man, O'Day, how much nicer and easier would that be? You know, if the salesperson went out, ran the first lead, put 10 Post-it notes on there, QR code, shoots it over to Roofr, bada bing, bada boom. Like, I wouldn't have to bitch at my salespeople for following up with the people, because the people are doing all the work.
And they're creating a strategic drip campaign to them, so it's always coming in.
Yeah.
And what's really beautiful about instant estimators as well is you're price conditioning your client, just like you said with the boat.
Yes.
You wanted to see if it's in your budget.
Mm-hmm.
So you're price conditioning. And with Roofr, with the integrated dashboard that you have there for the leads, you can mark it as disqualified if they're not the right budget. You can also see how far they went in your funnel with a quick glance in Roofr to see if they clicked I want a proposal or they didn't. You'd still capture their information.
Yep.
So my recommendation is still send them a quote, because you could build one in 5 minutes with Roofr, super accurate, and watch those views climb. Yeah. Watch how many times they viewed it, because sales is baseball, man. It's a crack at the bat. So the amount of bats you get, you're going to hit a dinger out there. So throw out those quotes.
Exactly.
So from a price conditioning standpoint, I had a good question, and I know you have like 5 really good responses when people push back on the instant estimator, because let's be honest, it's a new thing. For a lot of you guys out there, it's like, I don't know about that. Like, so when someone says, I actually just had a great conversation with a couple that was part of my breakout. They said, you know, from a instant estimate perspective, we run everything through the insurance company. So it wouldn't really make sense for us to present a quote when we're going to work off the Xactimate from the insurance company. So how do you kind of help them understand the value of bringing that tool to the homeowner if you're in the insurance?
I love that question. That question does come up a lot, and it's a simple answer for me is first off, how much time how much time and money are you spending for door knocking and canvassing? When you're going to 300 doors, what's your open rate on those doors? What's the get lost on the rate? How many inspections turn into actual quotes and everything else? So you got to start looking at from a cost per acquisition standpoint. But from an instant estimate standpoint, they're already brought up Xactimate. What's Xactimate's pricing? It's the median pricing for that area. So Xactimate typically runs off of that. And most roofers are not going to go and say, yeah, I agree to that price. They're going to supplement it. So they're going to start off in that spot anyways. So put your Xactimate median pricing into your instant estimator. It's the median pricing in your neighborhood. So it's already known. The customer gets price conditioned. You say, hey, Mrs. Joan, as I saw you put some information on our instant estimator, and right here, because I can see from the qualification questions, you got some hail damage, a little bit of leaking on your asphalt roof, and you're looking to go back with asphalt, right? Okay. So what I would love to do, if it's okay with you, I'd love to come by and do a quick inspection. I'm going to see if there's any damage, see what it qualifies for insurance, and I'll be able to give you like a good faith estimate from there and see where we go. Once you go up there, you take the photos and you supplement it from there. And that's through the qualification process. So yes, it can be intimidating throwing out a price up there and thinking that you're going to scare away your clients. But what you're also going to do, you're not going to scare them away. You're going to interest them, but you're also going to separate yourself from the competition. And you're going to be pulling in people that you never normally wouldn't have pulled in.
Right.
Especially if you leave something behind, like from Lead Scout, like a door hanger that has that QR code, you're going to get those people on all those doors that you didn't get to as well.
Yep.
What's do you know what the average success rate is? If you're knocking 100 doors, average success rate to get someone answering the door, is it sub 10%?
You think 10, 15%? I mean, it kind of depends on the neighborhood, depends on time of day. I mean, there's a lot of variables.
Did a storm just come through?
Correct. Yeah. And this is the thing too. Another part that you brought up earlier is diversification. Storms dry up. This last year was the least amount of storms we've had in near a century nationwide. Recessions come in. We're about to enter a recession. You need to do anything to get in front of these people to make sure that you can run your business. So you're not a results-based business anymore. You are a process-based business, and you're out there. So
and I think winning their attention, right? I think we're trying to
yourself.
To grab their attention, because once you get their attention, I mean, I think to maybe sum up what you were saying, I mean, the reality is make sure you have a process behind that instant quote then, because of the process is to have some clear disclaimers in there, you know, not the bait and switch kind, but the kind that says, listen, this is the reality of how a complex roof is priced. This is an idea of what it could be. Here are some examples of some things that could change that. But if you have their attention, then if you follow up quickly and you get one of the kind of reps that work for TC Backer in front of that customer, they're going to dispel any of those. Well, it said it was 11,000, and you're telling me it might be like 14 or 15,000. Well, it's going to be 14 or 15,000 because XYZ, and the insurance company will gladly pay that because of XYZ. This was a ballpark figure, but now that we understand some of the complexities of the roof, it's $14,000. But Mr. and Mrs. Customer, all you have to pay is your deductible.
Exactly. And you can finance that deductible here with Service Finance. You can get that moving. And you brought up a great point. It comes down to like how you're describing it to everybody and how you're setting those next steps and those clear boundaries on it. And look, at the end of the day, these instant estimators are super accurate. It comes down to what you put your pricing in for it. But these instant estimates are giving you a quick perimeter measurement, times it by a pitch increase, and then providing it that with those measurements in there. And for us, we're thankful with Roofr being able to do flat roofs, pitch roofs, tile roofs, rejuvenation, coatings, whatever. We have customization on there. But whether it's us or Roofl, really the two only instant estimators out there, I don't think we're at a spot right now where someone's going to blindly put 5 figures of on their credit card and buy off of that. So whether you're an insurance restoration roofer or you're a retail roofer, there are next steps involved. That's where Roofr comes in very handily, because we do have those next steps laid out with the measurements and proposal, but it comes down to that explanation. So you really got to look at it from how are you going to get people in the door? How are you going to separate yourself from the competition? And how are you going to impress them with your knowledge and make them feel comfortable that they're going to give their policy to you, their deductible to you, their check to you, all that stuff. At the end of the day, you want to create a warm, fuzzy feeling, and that's what sales is, to make them trust you and feel comfortable with you doing that work. And an instant estimate tool can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I like that. 2 minutes. Okay. Well, I was just sitting here thinking, I don't know how long we've been doing this, but what a great topics that you both have brought up, and what a unique pair to match on partnerships here, because again, I'm sitting here thinking, that's why I haven't even been speaking much. I'm like, how can I capitalize on some of this myself here? Because it sounds like obviously we all got to get out in front of the technology curve right now that we're facing. It has become an Amazon world today. Everybody likes instant things, especially an instant quote, right? Like, how cool is that, right? And as a business owner, I'm thinking, we already use Lead Scout, and his been like, okay, so for an example, and some people might think, Jesus, he went to 49 houses. Well, we just hired a gentleman, has sales experience, and we didn't even promise giving him leads, but we promised, hey, will give you a bunch of addresses around jobs that we've built. And there's a tool. It's called Lead Scout. You need to use it. We trained him how to use it. He went out and he tagged 49 homes on a Saturday. Monday morning, 2 calls came in. Now, everyone's like,
and he was
oh my
using
God.
the sticky notes?
Yeah, he was using the sticky notes. So everyone might be thinking, well, he went to 49 homes. Okay, yeah, it took him an hour. Okay, so if you want to look at it as an ROI standpoint of view, don't look at it as like how many homes he hit. Look at it as how long it took him, and it didn't cost the business owner really anything.
Correct. What's that cost per acquisition?
Yes.
1 hour of pay for this guy's time.
Right.
2 jobs to come in that are probably around 5 figures each.
Yes, good leads, not tire kickers.
He wasn't knocking. The reason it only took him an hour is because he was putting the
post-it notes.
The post-it notes on. Yeah, cool.
He was scouting, not
canvassing.
canvassing.
That was his first week. So imagine how super excited he was, and I was, and his manager was. I mean, it works. Lead Scout works, no doubt in my mind. And I'm sitting here thinking, God, how many more leads would we have gotten
had you had that call to action?
Yes, if we would have had that call to action.
I would have been just swimming in it. And that's what's so cool. And what I'm so excited about this is what we can do the whole conversation before this, we were talking about how can we help our industry. And this is a way that we can really get it off. Powerful. And it's right at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, man.
This is a perfect time to implement it because we're going March,
this is
April, May, ready to rock and roll and off to a strong start.
I mean, fortunately for us, and we talked about it earlier, our season's been pretty mild. We had a cold snap, so and we're getting ready. We got more salespeople coming on board and better processes. I'm super excited about this. Going back to the entire industry right now is in a really cool spot, and I like it. I like
exciting.
Yeah.
Some awesome shows coming up.
Yeah, some awesome shows coming up. Yes, and we're traveling some more, and I'm sure we'll see you.
Oh yeah.
And sitting here thinking too, it's like it's not even necessarily about the product; it's the people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I would buy from you because of you, not necessarily the product. I would buy from Steven at Project Map It because I like Steven. I would buy from you because I like Steven. So do you think it's taking away, and this might be a negative question, but I want to hear your spin on it. Do you think it's taking away from that personal, that contact with an individual at all whatsoever?
No, because you still need that individual. And it comes down to how are you going to start that conversation up? When I'm going through my demos and I show how we collect all those qualification questions, that in that 30 seconds, they're clicking on how big is my roof, how steep it is, what it's on there, what are we doing? And the way I look at it is, especially from where we are at in the Northeast, if someone's calling you to do their roof, they're calling you because it's something urgent. Roofing's not a sexy purchase. They're not looking far in advance like they're buying a kitchen.
Right.
So they're calling you because they're worried. Their roof's leaking or there's a shingle missing on the roof. So being able to then first call them and drive down their fears right away by, hey, Mrs. Jones, I noticed that you said that there's some leaking in your roof right now and you're looking to get it done soon. You're looking at financing and you have asphalt, but you want to go back with asphalt. Is that correct? Would you like a quote for metal? You don't worry about it. I'm not going to ask you any questions. I'm going to get somebody out there right away to help you out. And then you provide them with a proposal, that speed to lead, an educational part, and then you get to flex your power there.
Okay.
What's really cool too is we'll build out like that proposal with you to have like something about your company up front. First page should be about your company, who you are.
Right.
And get that feeling in. And you still got to flex your sales skills.
Thank you for playing that tape the whole way through for me, because I'm like, where's the personal contact at anymore? That personal connection, that relationship building, that rapport, because we talked about like, when is the sale complete?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not the initial deposit being collected. So I'm trying to play that because I'm a little old school, right? So, and it's about relationship building, and I would never want to lose that part of the sale, I guess. So, well, anyhow, is there anything else? Have we covered everything?
Yeah. I mean, I think the only thing I wanted to say to that is like having these kind of tools just gives you more opportunity to create more. I mean, can you imagine if we had get an instant quote on those 49? Could have been 4?
Maybe.
I mean, let's be honest. All we really care is if it was 3.
Yeah.
because it was 3. That was one more homeowner that you got to meet.
Exactly.
And so I think, for those still watching and, that just kind of repeat the cool promo that we got going this month, like, let's see how many homes that we can get this in front of. I mean, because this is why we're doing this. It's just trying to help as many contractors as we can get this in front of more homes to see how many people and more connections we can make.
And how many referrals can you make out of those connections? Because it's just like each person, it grows, and they're going to have that experience that they had due to Lead Scout and Roofr and that salesperson, and they could tell their friends, be like, man, I had the best experience with this company. You should go talk to them.
Yeah. So you're making the contractor's life a lot easier so they can do a better job for the homeowner.
Correct.
Is all I'm hearing here. I love that. What a great way to end this episode. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you for being in my life today. Thank you for improving who I am, and that's the connection that I've made with you guys over this week. We've made a lot of good connections. I'm sure you guys did as well. But thank you guys for tuning in for episode 162.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank you. Next week, episode 163, we'll be back in the studio next week. I am kind of sort of looking forward to that. I'm kind of getting addicted to being on the road. At times, I think my team wants to kick my butt, but I love them very much, and I appreciate their hard work. Thank you, Javi. Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Glenn. Ippy, can't forget Ippy. Ippy earned his man card back. Sorry, buddy.
I had a couple cards.
Yeah, a couple cards this week. Yeah, he really did the abuse that we put him through. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great night.